Has it ever happened to you that you feel invisible to someone who should value you? Maybe you've wondered, why doesn't she take me seriously? Or, what am I missing to gain that respect and admiration? If so, know that you're not alone. Many people face this situation at some point in life, whether in love, friendship, or even in the professional environment. But here's a powerful truth. The problem may not lie with the other person but in how you position yourself in front of them. When we place ourselves as too available, predictable, or desperate for validation, we end up losing the shine that makes us unique. It's as if we're handing over our worth on a silver platter, without leaving room for the other person to realize just how special we really are. And what if I told you that it's possible to change that? There are practical and psychological strategies to awaken the interest and respect of someone who once seemed indifferent. In this text, we'll explore how self-worth, mystery, emotion, and other mental triggers can completely transform the way you are seen and desired. Get ready to discover how to attract back the attention of whoever you want to impress. Have you ever stopped to think that the value others see in you begins with the value you give to yourself? It seems simple, but often we forget this. When we don't see ourselves as special, others can't see our light either. The key here is to invest in your self-esteem, and that starts with small changes in your daily routine. For example, try complimenting one of your own qualities every day. It could be something simple like, "I'm a good listener," or "I have a unique sense of humor." These reminders help reinforce your self-perception. Now, imagine this scene. You're in a meeting or even a casual encounter, and someone asks about your hobbies or achievements. How do you respond? If you downplay your accomplishments or speak insecurely, you're sending a clear message that you don't consider yourself important. But when you speak with calm confidence, people notice. They feel the strength of your personality and start seeing you in a different light. Remember, the way you present yourself shapes others' perceptions. Additionally, body language plays a crucial role in this process. You might be saying incredible things, but if your posture is slouched or your gaze is evasive, no one will fully believe what you're saying. Invest in improving your physical presence. Keep your spine straight, look people in the eyes, and smile lightly. These adjustments may seem small, but they make a huge difference in how you're received. Another important point is taking care of your appearance. I'm not talking about unrealistic beauty standards, but rather about conveying an image of someone who cares about themselves. Dress well, take care of your hair, wear clothes that match your personality. When you present yourself as someone who values their own image, others naturally start treating you with more respect. It's almost like a cycle. The more you value yourself, the more others value you. However, the real transformation happens when you internalize the idea that you deserve to be valued. This doesn't mean being arrogant, but rather recognizing your own worth without needing others' approval. Those who depend too much on external validation end up losing power. So, focus on building a life rich in experiences, hobbies, and projects that make you happy. This automatically attracts interesting people. And what about that feeling of wanting to please everyone? Let it go. When we try to be everything to everyone, we end up becoming invisible. Instead, set clear boundaries. Say no when necessary and prioritize your own needs. This not only strengthens your self-image but also awakens curiosity in others. They'll start to notice that you're not available for just anything, and that increases your value. Speaking of value, think of it like a game of supply and demand. If you're always present, always accessible, you never create scarcity. People tend to value what is rare or hard to obtain. So start working on your mystery. Don't reveal everything about yourself all at once. Let them discover little by little who you really are. This balance between closeness and distance creates a much more interesting relational dynamic. Finally, remember that the journey of self-worth is continuous. It's not something you fix overnight, but rather a process of personal growth. Every step you take toward your inner happiness reflects outwardly. Who knows, at the end of this transformation, that person who once didn't take you seriously may start to deeply admire you. But this will only happen if you first become your own priority. In the next topic, we'll explore how mystery and scarcity can amplify this effect even further. Achieving this requires effort. The same principle applies to human relationships. When you create an air of mystery, people naturally become more curious about who you are. It's not about hiding who you are, but about revealing your layers gradually, like a fascinating book that no one wants to put down. Imagine you're meeting someone new. Instead of telling your whole life story in the first conversation, share only intriguing details, an unusual story, an uncommon hobby, or a provocative opinion. This sparks the other person's curiosity and makes them want to know more. It's like leaving breadcrumbs along a path. They'll follow you until they discover the treasure you hold within. But be careful not to overdo it. Mystery should be subtle, not forced. If you act like you're intentionally hiding something, you may come across as evasive or dishonest. The idea here is to be genuine but strategic. For example, instead of answering all questions immediately, say something like, "That's a long story, maybe I'll tell you another day?" This kind of phrase creates anticipation and keeps interest alive. Another powerful factor is scarcity. When you're always available, people tend to value your presence less. Try changing this pattern. Reduce the frequency of your interactions and avoid constantly seeking validation. If you only show up when you really have something important to say or do, your presence becomes more impactful. People start to realize that your time is valuable, and this increases your social status. This strategy also works because it generates emotional contrast. When you're present, be amazing. Bring positive energy, memorable stories, and unique moments. But when you decide to step back, do it lightly and without exhaustive explanations. This balance between closeness and distance creates an emotional dynamic that captures attention. They'll want to be around when you decide to reappear. And don't underestimate the power of being unpredictable. People love surprises as long as they're good ones, of course. Break predictable behavior patterns from time to time. For example, if you're usually very serious, show a funny and relaxed side. Or if you're known for being extroverted, surprise with deep reflections. This alternation of intensity and lightness keeps interactions fresh and interesting. Moreover, remember that scarcity isn't just physical but also emotional. Avoid always being ready to solve others' problems or being the solution to everything. When you position yourself as a prize, not an easy solution, people start to see you differently. They begin to realize that your presence is a privilege, not an obligation. Finally, mystery and scarcity work because they directly touch people's mental triggers. We humans are naturally attracted to what we don't fully understand or what we can't easily have. By applying these strategies, you not only increase your value in the eyes of others but also gain more control over your interactions. In the next topic, we'll explore how to balance closeness and distance to create even deeper connections. One of the biggest challenges in human relationships is finding the right balance between being present and maintaining a certain distance. It seems contradictory, but it's exactly this balance that creates healthy tension and keeps interest alive. When you're always available, you risk becoming invisible. On the other hand, if you distance yourself too much, you may seem indifferent. The secret lies in knowing when to approach and when to retreat. Emotional closeness is essential for creating genuine connections. When you share authentic moments, personal stories, or even laughter, you create bonds that are hard to break. However, it's important not to overdo this closeness. If you expose yourself too much too soon, you may end up overwhelming the other person or even losing your air of mystery. The key here is to dose your revelations. As for distance, when applied well, it generates a powerful effect. Longing. Yes, that pleasant feeling of wanting to see someone again because their absence has left a void. For this, you don't need to disappear completely, just reduce the frequency of interactions. For example, if you used to send messages every day, try spacing them out. This makes the other person miss you without realizing that you're being strategic. But be careful, distance should be used intelligently. Don't pull away abruptly or in a way that feels like punishment. This can cause confusion or even push away the person you want to attract. Instead, do it lightly and naturally. Say something like, "I have some commitments this week, but we'll talk soon." This way, you demonstrate independence without seeming evasive. It's an elegant way to create space. This game of closeness and distance also helps strengthen your self-sufficiency. When you show that you have a rich and busy life outside the relationship, you automatically become more interesting. People love being around someone who is engaging and full of memorable experiences. So, invest in hobbies, personal projects, and activities that bring you internal happiness. This positive energy will be felt by those around you. Another important point is to avoid constantly seeking validation. If you're always asking, "What did you think of that?" or "Did I do it right?" you end up transmitting insecurity. Instead, adopt a confident and calm posture. Let people come to you when they want to talk or share something. This behavior demonstrates personal strength and increases your social value. And remember that old saying, "Less is more"? It applies perfectly here. Sometimes, being intensely present isn't as effective as being strategically present. When you show up only at the right moments, bringing something valuable, whether it's a deep conversation, a funny joke, or useful advice, your presence becomes memorable. It's like being the star of a show that everyone eagerly anticipates. Finally, remember that balancing closeness and distance isn't a magic formula but a constant practice. Each person and situation is unique, so adapt your actions as needed. The most important thing is that you feel comfortable and authentic in this process. By mastering this art, you'll be creating a relational dynamic that inspires admiration and respect. In the next topic, we'll explore how to awaken genuine emotions and create connections that go beyond logic. If you want to win someone over or strengthen a relationship, you need to understand a fundamental truth. Attraction isn't rational, it's emotional. People don't fall in love with lists of qualities or logical arguments. They connect through feelings. So, instead of trying to convince someone with reasons, focus on creating moments that touch the heart. After all, who hasn't remembered a shared laugh or an unexpected gesture? One of the best ways to awaken emotions is by creating memorable experiences. Think about it. When you're with someone and something out of the ordinary happens, like watching an incredible sunset or living through an unusual adventure, that moment gets etched in memory. These small, unique events have the power to generate deep connections because they evoke sensations that go beyond words. And the best part? You can plan these moments intentionally. Humor is also a powerful tool for awakening positive emotions. A good laugh breaks barriers, relaxes the atmosphere, and creates a sense of lightness. Try telling a funny story or making a lighthearted joke during a conversation. Not only does this make you more attractive, but it also makes the other person associate your presence with good times. And who doesn't like being around someone who brings joy? In addition, healthy challenges can be great for generating emotional connections. When you propose something new or stimulate the other person to step out of their comfort zone, you create a dynamic of mutual growth. For example, suggest a different activity, like learning to cook an exotic dish together or exploring an unknown place. These challenges create shared stories that strengthen the bond between you. But be careful not to overdo the intensity. Just like the balance between closeness and distance, it's important to dose emotions here too. Moments that are too heavy or filled with drama can push people away. The ideal is to alternate between lightness and depth. One day you might have a deep conversation about dreams and aspirations. The next, simply laugh about something silly. This combination keeps the relationship balanced and interesting. Another crucial point is to avoid falling into the trap of trying to solve everything. Often, people don't want logical solutions to their problems. They want to be heard and understood. When someone shares something personal with you, instead of offering immediate advice, show empathy. Say something like, "That must have been tough for you. I'm here." This kind of response touches the heart and reinforces the emotional connection. And what about that butterfly in the stomach feeling? It usually arises when something surprises us positively. To create this effect, be unpredictable from time to time. For example, send an unexpected message with a song that reminds you of the person or make an unusual comment during a conversation. These small, unexpected gestures spark curiosity and keep interest alive. It's like adding spices to a recipe. Everything becomes tastier. Finally, remember that emotions are contagious. When you demonstrate inner happiness, enthusiasm, and passion for life, these energies reflect onto the people around you. Don't try to force anything. Be authentic and let your emotions flow naturally. By doing this, you'll be creating a genuine attraction that goes beyond any logical explanation. In the next topic, we'll explore how to position yourself as a prize, not an easy solution. One of the biggest traps in human relationships is positioning yourself as someone who solves all of the other person's problems. It may seem noble, but in practice this can devalue you. When you're always available to save someone, you end up being seen as an easy solution. And easy solutions are rarely valued. Instead, learn to position yourself as a prize, something that people need to earn and deserve. Think about it. Who is more interesting? The person who's always ready to solve everything, or the one who lives their own life in a self-sufficient and fascinating way? Of course, being helpful is important, but there's a fine line between helping and losing yourself. If you want to be admired, focus on building a life rich in experiences, hobbies, and personal achievements. Show that you have a lot to offer, but not at the expense of your own happiness. Setting clear boundaries is essential for this transformation. Saying no when necessary isn't selfish. It's a demonstration of strength and self-respect. For example, if someone asks for your help at a time when you're already busy, be honest, "I'd love to help, but right now I'm focused on something else." This not only preserves your energy but also increases your value in the eyes of others. They realize that your time and attention are precious. Another important point is to avoid being predictable or always available. When you're accessible 24/7, people start to take your presence for granted. Try changing this pattern. If you used to respond immediately to all messages, try waiting a little longer. This small adjustment creates a sense of scarcity and makes your presence even more valued. Remember, what's rare is coveted. In addition, invest in your social value. People who have an active and engaging life naturally attract admiration. Attend events, cultivate meaningful friendships, and explore new interests. When you show that you're valued in other social circles, it generates healthy curiosity. The other person starts to realize that you're not available exclusively to them, and this increases their desire to be by your side. But be careful not to confuse this with arrogance. Being a prize doesn't mean acting superior or inaccessible. On the contrary, it's about showing that you know what you want and aren't willing to compromise your principles. Be kind but firm. Demonstrate that you respect yourself and consequently, you'll be respected by others. This confident posture is irresistible. And remember that old saying, "Who doesn't want you today will want you tomorrow?" It applies perfectly here. When you change your posture and become a priority in your own life, people start to see you differently. Someone who perhaps didn't take you seriously before may begin to admire your independence and personal strength. But remember, the goal isn't to impress others but to feel good about yourself. Finally, remember that positioning yourself as a prize is a direct reflection of your self-esteem. When you value yourself, others follow suit. It's not about manipulating or controlling anyone but about creating a dynamic where you're seen for your true worth. By mastering this art, you'll be creating a solid foundation for any relationship you wish to build. In the next topic, we'll explore how to introduce subtle insecurity to further increase your perceived value. Now that you understand the importance of valuing yourself and positioning yourself as a prize, it's time to explore a powerful but delicate strategy. Introducing subtle insecurity. We're not talking about manipulation or heavy mind games, but rather small behavioral adjustments that make the other person question their perception of you. This may seem risky, but when applied correctly, it creates a fascinating effect. Imagine this situation. Someone is used to having you always available, always predictable. And then, suddenly you change your pattern. Maybe you take longer to respond to a message or cancel a meeting last minute because something important came up. This sudden change creates a sense of uncertainty in the other person. They start thinking, "Was I taking this for granted?" This kind of reflection increases your value in their eyes. But beware, the key here is to be strategic and not overdo it. The insecurity should be subtle, almost imperceptible. For example, instead of disappearing completely, alternate your behaviors. One day you're super present, the next slightly distant. This oscillation creates healthy emotional tension that keeps interest alive. It's like playing with someone's curiosity without crossing the line of respect. Another important point is to demonstrate that you're valued by other people or social circles. Share stories or moments that show you have a rich and busy life outside the relationship. For example, talk about an incredible event you attended or mention a compliment you received from someone. This not only reinforces your self-sufficiency but also awakens the feeling that you're desired by others, and this creates indirect competition. In addition, avoid being too transparent about your feelings or intentions. If you always say exactly what you think or feel, you take away the chance for the other person to speculate about you. Instead, leave some things implicit. For example, instead of saying, "I like you," make gestures that demonstrate it indirectly. This ambiguity creates a mystery that feeds interest. This strategy also works because it touches on people's mental triggers. We humans tend to value more what we think we might lose. When you introduce a slight insecurity, whether through occasional distance or behavioral changes, the other person starts to realize that they may not have as much control over the situation as they thought. And this, paradoxically, increases desire. However, remember that everything must be done with respect and lightness. The goal isn't to confuse or hurt anyone but to create a dynamic where you're seen as someone unique and special. If the other person perceives that you're being genuine and authentic, they'll understand that these changes reflect who you really are. And in the end, this strengthens the connection between you. Finally, remember that subtle insecurity only works if you've already established a solid foundation of self-worth and independence. If you're still seeking constant validation, any attempt to introduce this strategy may come across as forced or artificial. So, before moving forward, make sure your posture aligns with your inner truth. By mastering this art, you'll be creating a relational dynamic where you're admired and respected. In the next topic, we'll explore how personal growth can completely transform your approach to relationships. If there's one lesson we all need to learn, it's this. The best way to attract someone isn't by trying to change who you are, but by becoming the best version of yourself. Personal transformation isn't just about improving your appearance or skills. It's about evolving as a human being, cultivating a mindset of continuous growth. When you invest in yourself, that energy naturally attracts people who vibrate at the same frequency. Think about it, who would you rather be around? Someone who's always complaining about life, or someone who's constantly seeking to learn, grow, and reinvent themselves? People are naturally drawn to those who exude enthusiasm and passion for life. So, invest in your hobbies, personal projects, and continuous learning. These activities not only bring you internal happiness but also make you more interesting and engaging. Personal growth also has a direct impact on your personal strength. When you face challenges, overcome obstacles, and emerge stronger on the other side, it reflects in your posture and attitude. You start to emanate a quiet confidence that's impossible to ignore. And you know what's most amazing? This confidence doesn't need to be shouted. It can be silent, yet still felt by those around you. In addition, personal transformation helps you create a life rich in memorable experiences. Travel, explore new places, learn new things, and step out of your comfort zone. Each new experience you live adds layers to your personality, making you more complex and fascinating. And when you share these stories with others, they naturally become curious to know more about who you are. But here's an important reminder. The goal of personal transformation isn't to impress anyone. If you're making changes just to please others, you're missing the main point. The true purpose is to feel fulfilled and happy with yourself. When you achieve this state of wholeness, the people around you start to notice that light, and that's what generates genuine admiration. Another benefit of personal transformation is that it creates natural attraction. It's not something forced or calculated, it's simply the result of who you've become. For example, when you dedicate yourself to taking care of your physical and mental health, it reflects in your energy and appearance. When you become more self-sufficient and independent, it awakens respect. All of this happens organically, without excessive effort. And you know what's most empowering? The idea that you don't need to wait for someone to value you today to start your journey of growth. Maybe there were people who didn't take you seriously in the past, but that doesn't matter anymore. What matters is who you're becoming now. Who knows, tomorrow that same person might look at you and think, wow, she has completely changed. And that change will be the result of the work you've done on yourself. Finally, remember that we have reached the end of this journey, but importantly, this doesn't have to be the end of yours. You now hold powerful tools to transform how you position yourself in relationships and how you attract respect, admiration, and genuine connections. But, like any significant change, it all starts with a decision. The decision to prioritize yourself and invest in your personal growth. Think about it. How many times have you set aside your own needs to please others? How often have you thought you needed to change who you are to be valued? The truth is, the key to winning over someone who once didn't take you seriously lies within you. Simply start applying these strategies, from self-worth to creating genuine emotions, and you'll begin to see real changes unfold. So, here's my question for you. What will you do differently starting today? Will you keep waiting for others to value you first, or will you take control of your life and become the best version of yourself? Remember, small daily actions can lead to significant transformations over time. Start with something simple like improving your body language, setting clear boundaries, or investing in a new hobby. Every step counts. And you know what else can help on this journey? Being part of a community that inspires you to grow. If this content resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, The Stoic Mindset, and activate notifications. Here we share reflections, strategies, and stories that will help you evolve both personally and in your relationships. Join us, and together let's uncover the secrets to a fuller and more meaningful life. What are you waiting for? The next chapter of your story begins now.